Hey, it's Father Taylor, and today is Friday, November 19th, and this is your weekly eBlast, and we have a lot of stuff to talk about. So grab your calendar and a piece of paper and settle in, and we're going to get started. I'm just trying to get this going today, so I didn't even get put on my work professional look on. Just want to make sure we get this and for all this information eBlast. As I begin, I want to thank you for just watching the eBlast. Information and communication is always a trick in a church, but it's even harder during COVID. So I appreciate you tuning in and thinking about this stuff. I would ask you, as you hear about these events and these things that are going on, simply to say a prayer. Lord, they have an event coming up. I ask you, please bless that. Be present, Lord. Just make a simple prayer and to be thankful in it all. Okay, so here we go. We're going to go in chronological order. On a Saturday, that is tomorrow, on November 20th, we have our memorial for Fred Platt. Fred Platt was a great brother. He came to know the Lord during the period of time he was here at Trinity Church. And as you know, he died several months ago. However, we are having the service here at the church tomorrow at request of his family. And so we are very thankful that they really wanted to do that and to do it here. And so we're going to do that tomorrow. Here's the schedule. The family will arrive about 9:30, and they're going to set up in the hall. So you will be able to greet them at 10 o'clock to give condolences, maybe say how much, what Fred meant to you, just to meet them and to be with them. That's a kind of a ministry of presence. That starts at 10 and goes to 10:45. At 11 o'clock, we'll have our service of Christian burial, and that will take place in the sanctuary. And we will be careful about how many people we get in, and ushers will take you to particular seats. We'll try to keep that as spread out and keep people safe as possible. And we will be asking you to wear a mask during that period of time. So that service is at 11 o'clock. The next day on this Sunday will be the first time that we go back to a schedule that we haven't done since March of 2020. We will have church indoors in the sanctuary at 8 and at 9:45. The 8 o'clock will be similar to what we've been doing outdoors. A service of Eucharist, a word which means gratitude, thankfulness, and rejoicing. That service will be at 8 o'clock. It's an hour. We'll be out by about 9 o'clock. And there'll be time as you go, maybe to even see each other and to grab a cup of coffee. We're trying to figure out if the weather's permitting, people can grab coffee and linger outside, because we just really need to reconnect with each other. So service at 8, and that's the straightforward service that we've been doing so far outdoors, but that's at 8 o'clock in the sanctuary this Sunday, November 21. At 9:45, just like the olden days, we will have our indoor service of Eucharist, Thanksgiving, gratitude, and that will be also include music in our kids' services. All the stuff we do with kids, maybe we'll even revive that red box, but all that's going to happen at 9:45. So kids, families, music, 9:45. At 8 o'clock is a little bit briefer service, but that's also indoors. 8, 9:45, starting this Sunday. Sunday evening at 6 o'clock, this is not an in-person event, but the Simsbury clergy every year puts on a really well done Thanksgiving service. In the past years I've been to, we've had some of the cantors from the Jewish congregation have come and chanted from the Psalms. Catholic priest who used to teach down at Catholic U in DC. He was a New Testament scholar. He would come and read the gospel in Greek. It's a pretty sensational thing, multiple choirs. This year, we're still kind of COVID adverse, so it will be all televised on Simsbury Community Television. And also, there'll be a link for it. And I suggest you go to our Facebook page and just click on the link there. It's not Facebook. I believe it's a Vimeo link, but all you have to do is find it and click it. 3 different clergy members will be doing reflections of thanks, and we'll have 3 different readings. There'll be an opening words by the rabbi. She's great. Just to hear her speak is like price of admission. So I just want to say that's Sunday at 6 p.m. That's either on your computer or on Simsbury Public Television. All right, that brings us to Thursday. And I'm going to get yelled at by the staff, but we've planned the whole time, I think, to do a Zoom service of just like morning prayer. I think we should meet. Here's why. I have found here that the Thanksgiving service usually is a small group of people who come and leave filled with joy simply because we just take our time, we give thanks. It's a little less formal, but we still get to hear a scripture and we get to have Eucharist. It's a really wonderful service. And given the day that you're going to have on Thanksgiving, I know that sometimes people are traveling, whatever. I encourage you to come on out for this. It's one of the hidden services of our church. So even though I'm going to get yelled at for this, but I just would like to meet in person. Yeah, because I just really miss seeing guys, and it's just really healthy for us to be as a community. Kids can come, and this is not a service where kids have to sit there and hold their breath and try to sit still. It's a nice Thanksgiving Day service. So I'm going to be there. I'm the only staff member that's going to be there. I'm going to open the doors. I'm going to come. Just come on and be with me, and we will pray together and be thankful to the Lord on Thursday, Thanksgiving Day at 9 o'clock. So that's what's coming up. I also call your attention to another fantastic thing in which we really need your help. We're not asking you to volunteer for 3 days for the rest of your life. We're asking you to come out on December 4th for what is going to be, I don't know, Lord willing, this could be a really fantastic event. Part of our ministry here at the church in Tarryville, our congregation includes all of Farmington Valley. I mean, we have people all over the place, but we're geographically located in a community. I don't know, I've been around some urban centers, both in Boston, Springfield, and where I grew up in Baltimore, where the geographic area around the church no longer matched the congregation. And so then like the church was people who all came out from county and they were around, but they had no connection to the communities around the church. That's not the case here. We are not exclusive to Tarryville, but we serve Tarryville because this is where we've been since 1872. To that degree, the church, really, I believe God wants the church to be the center of the town community events. It's not the school, because the school is only for kids and maybe their parents, but the church is the center of things. And so we have been engaging the community in a variety of ways, which I won't get into here, but I'll give you an example. We have been building relationships over the last 3 years. And I think some of that culminated around the end of October when we had our trunk or treat event. And there were over 150 kids and their moms and dads came to this event. And it was like quite the deal. And we combined with some other folks in the community to put that on. And part of that is we're simply trying to create relationships with members in the community. And so that's what this is about. Christmas, if you've been to our Selfies with Santa, we canceled that last year, but we had 2. That was a growing event. That was what we used to do, but we can't do that indoors the way we did. So it's going to be a great event. We're going to light up the church. That's coming up in a weekend where we're going to light up the entire church. We put up Christmas lights. You might remember that from our 2 Christmas Eve services we had last year. We're doing that again. We're going to light it up. We have community folks coming in. Kids are going to be able to come with their moms and dads, and the whole families are going to show up here. They're going to come because we're going to have a variety of Christmas cookie events, and you can build your own ornaments with, there's a group that's on Withrop Street I think it's called All Things Plaster or something like that. But they're going to have ornaments that kids are going to be making. We're going to have hot chocolate stands, and of course, selfies with Santa. You may not know this, but even during COVID, Santa and Mrs. Claus, if you know that that's Ray and Martha, just to put that on the side, we still did selfies with Santa last year by driving around for appointments. So we went all over Simsbury, Terriffill, into Granby, just connecting with church families and anyone they told who wanted to visit. And we would have Santa come up, kids would come out, and we had cars that followed so we could give out candy canes and little things like that. And it was raining. It was a terrible day. I know, I was soaked. Then we went to the school. We had the principal, Steve Madison, invite us to come over and do it at the school. And we had 25 cars at the school. So the driving rain, Santa went around car to car to say Merry Christmas. And this is just our way of engaging our neighbors. Well, this year, Santa's going to be there for selfies with Santa at this. And so this has been a building event. So from 1 to 4 on the church property, we have our enlarged selfies with Santa event. We're going to need all kinds of volunteers. So if you can come for a half an hour, that's great. You can come for an hour, that's great. You can come for the whole thing, that's great. We just want to meet, greet. We have a variety of like pieces. We'll just see all hands on deck. You can come. So let's say, well, I don't have any kids that are that age. Doesn't matter. This is a church event. We're hosting our community. It's going to be outdoors. So certainly safety factor is good. So please come out, and we're going to be giving you ways to sign up and join, but we're going to need some help on that day. So from 1 to 4, it's on right at the church property. And then we walk down to the green. So at 4:30, we'll have another set of Christmas carols, and we encourage choir members to come. So we'll have caroling. We're going to light the tree. It's a festive event that really, without people knowing too much about it, is really sponsored by our church community. So I just want to encourage you to come to a great event. We have all kinds of things. Lessons with Carols will be held December 11th and 12th. Paula's got a great group who are coming there. It's a pretty big choir. We're still kind of working out all the details of how do we host this, but that's going to happen, Lord willing, 11th and 12th. Just to put a small plug in, our regular person who comes in and does a variety of instruments, including brass instruments, was unable to come. So I was able to place a phone call and get my old buddy, Doug Hughes, the man acquainted with the blues, will be coming and handling some of the singing as well as trumpet, and he's really excited. And if you don't know who he is, price of admission, Doug Hughes, one of a kind guy. So anyway, so that's all the events that are coming up in a nutshell, and you'll be seeing more and more lists. Now I want to get to the business section. I almost did 2 videos, but this is the business section. One of the things that I found when I got here was that, so it happens to churches. It's a pretty common thing. It's called deferred maintenance. Church communities are usually kind of slow about doing things that would not take that long at home. And so Kathy Oakes has done a sensational job of looking into all kinds of things that we have not been looking into at the church. And we're creating these lists and timetables for to get repairs done for the church. I want to remind you, the church, we own 3 properties. We have the church building, and all the building part there, the education wing, the parking lot. We have the sexton's house, which is, is it 100 years old plus? And we have the rectory, which I'm in right now. And all 3 properties have needed maintenance for some time. So the church is a priority. And so the vestry, including Dave Damaris and some other folks, Dave's not on the vestry right now, but he began this project, helped us begin this project. We've been looking at what do we need to repair? What comes first? I'll give you some examples. We've had water issues, not just the flat roof that we repaired, but we've had water issues in all parts of the building. And so we're trying to make sure that we take care of that. Some of those are just gutter issues. And it turns out that some of the gutters, like the house right here and parts of the church, some of those gutters have not been cleaned for years. And we have a tremendous amount of trees, so all that debris breaks down, clogs up stuff. So we've got damage. We have water damage, that's around rotting out the sills of windows, things like that. So we have projects that we need to do here at the rectory, and we have projects that we need to do at the church. One of the ones that you may not know about is that we've had water issues in the basement that have affected the floors in the choir room. And we've had some pretty great volunteer work. Dave Tamaris did tremendous work at trying to regrade and kind of help us with drainage issues. But we're still working on that because we don't want that to become a big problem. So we're working on things like gutters, drainage. Do we need to do our landscaping differently? So we're working on some of those issues. We also have time-to-time maintenance. One of the, it's called a heat exchange, which is part of the main features of how we get heat out of the air handlers above the church on the flat part of the roof. Every year, they have a lifespan of 10 years. And so every year of the last 2 years, and now this year, third year, we have to exchange one of those. So she's got a ton of projects going on. Some of those are sort of volunteers, but a lot of those that you need vendors for. And so I'm just wanting to let you know that the church building itself has needed a lot of work and and we're trying to address that right now. The rectory has had some upkeep from time to time and is in pretty good shape, although there are some things that need to be addressed, but they're not quite as urgent. We are looking at what is the long-term plan for all three properties. And that is to say, let me put it this way. You don't want your properties, which are assets, to become liabilities. And so if you're thinking about there's a need and a use for a building, that you want to make sure that you get all the asset that you can out of it and make sure you maintain it so that it doesn't become a liability. We are currently now looking at the sexton's house, which is the roof was replaced some time ago, and this, I think, windows and siding. But indoors, nothing has been done no one has any memory of any work being done indoors. We don't want that building to become a liability. So the vestry has been looking at and studying to what degree do we want to invest in that building, or to what degree is there another possibility of what we should do in order to make sure that it doesn't become a liability. So the vestry is working really hard on all three properties, and because we don't have a lot of time to communicate that with the way COVID's gone. I'm telling you now. So we have all three properties. We're some of those things are overdue. We should have probably done this before, but it's a church, and we're doing our best to stay on top of it. The other part, which is going to be very sensitive, I think, for all of us, is that it has to do with adjustments we are going to be making with our staff. If you have been around here for a long time, you know that the history is that the church, probably had 60 to 80 people for a long time. Under Frank Howard, there was some real changes that happened at the church, and there were certain blessings that happened, and the church average Sunday attendance, moved up to about 150 by the time Frank left in 1998. By the time came in and the Spirit was moving, and there were a whole bunch of things that combined that the church doubled in size in less than 6 years. It was pretty amazing. If you were here, that just must have been what a wild ride to when you had a service at 8 o'clock with about 30 people, and then 2 packed services back to back in the morning. Those are the years of expansion. Took down some old property houses, turned them into a parking lot, and built on a wing. Those are also times that we expanded our staff. That is to say, people that became paid staff. That went from the old days when Frank Howard was here, and you'll remember Sandy Cross was like the administrator and worked a part-time schedule. That changed when Tom came and growth started happening. Ellen started at a part-time and immediately almost became a full-time staff. We had sometimes a full-time assistant staff, another clergy, and we had choir directors, youth workers, Sunday school teachers. We had a very large staff. So as that church population went from 150 to 300 around 2005, 2006, I mean, it was just like we kind of built up for staff. In the 5 years before I arrived here, from roughly 2012, to 2018, sometime around there, what you may not have realized was that the church lost about 100 members. So when I arrived here in 2018, our average Sunday attendance was actually less than it was when Father Tom started. So my first Sunday was the second Sunday after Easter. And so we started with an average Sunday attendance that year of just under 150. During COVID, it's hard to know who's still here, because we have some people who kind of gave up on Zoom, but still don't feel comfortable in returning. But we still, they're still members and they're still as active as they can be. There's a core of people that I think ranges to about 100 to 120 people still remaining. But our world is really different. COVID's different, and our number of parishioners is different. And so we're going to be adjusting our size of staff this year. And this has been a study which, I started with somebody else, one of the staff members starting 2 years ago. We started looking at trends, and I've been working with both Ed Gatus and Anthony, our treasurer, on this. We've been talking about this. This has been an ongoing situation for 2 years of how do we adjust our staff to match what we really can do with a congregation of our current size. Financially, we are in tremendous position. I mean, we really are doing well financially in terms of our, we have two endowments, Brown Fund, Henderson Fund. Those are great. Savings account, it's great. Our checking account has the largest amount in it that it's had, probably anybody in record. However, with the continual decline of the size of our congregation and the aging of our congregation, we simply, it would be best for us to adjust our staff size. And so there will be some changes. And that means, like, I say staff, that means me and Amanda and Ed and Carol and Paula and Kevin, our sexes. So all of that we've been talking about for the last several months of how we're going to make these adjustments so we right size our staff, the size of our congregation. That will probably mean that some of the things that were kind of extras that we've all gotten used to as being regular things, those will probably change. The change will not occur in one day. It'll occur from January of this year all the way through June as we continue to adjust and to figure out what is the best way to do things. As you can imagine, in anything, if that feels unsettling to you, imagine if you're a paid staff, because now there's some questions about, where are we going, or reducing hours, and how this reducing salaries and things like that. So all that's in the mix. We've been talking about that for some time, but you may not have known about it. So I want to bring you up to speed, helping you think about that. We're in a very secure position. I mean, all churches in Connecticut, have gone through a great decline for the last, 15 years. We're in a very secure position, so no one's worried per se. It's just that we're doing this to be to make the right decisions about the decisions we have to make. So bringing you up to speed on that. So take a look at what else is in the. Wow, getting all choked up. Take a look at all the stuff that's in the print version of the eBlast. You can feel free to call me if you have questions about things, but be aware that we're going to be looking for you to come out and to be helpful for us in terms of our all the events we have coming. So in the midst of all these things, we're still expanding our ministry. So we're going to need all hands on deck for December 4th. The weekends before that, we're going to be decorating, putting up lights, which was a tremendously fun event last year. And so we have a lot that's getting ready to kick off. Paul has got people rehearsing for lessons and carols. Just a lot going on. And we're thankful to God to give us the energy and the vision to do that. So we'll talk to you soon. And God, hopefully I'll see you this weekend. Okay, bye for now.